Spurred on by the success of his first transatlantic row and the experience of rediscovery that was a journey, Lee chose to pick up oars a second time, this time to embark on a solo adventure.
Towards the end of the row, as we was coming into Antigua, I started thinking that it might be a cool thing to do this solo. And it actually took 2 days after we landed to pluck up the courage to tell my wife Claire that I'm thinking about doing this solo. When I was thinking about rowing, I had a conversation with His Excellency, the Governor, and I said, you know, I'm thinking about rowing again solo. And he said, well, why don't you go from Gibraltar?
Strong unity is at the heart of the Royal Marines ethos. Commando training sees Marines sharing the same hardships, and it also stresses the importance of the team. And so, it's no surprise that Gibraltar's most prominent Royal Marine, His Excellency Lieutenant General Ed Davis, Governor of Gibraltar, immediately stepped in to help when he heard about Lee's challenge.
Well, I'd heard about Lee when I was Commandant General Royal Marines and got to know his inspiring story. You don't have to know Lee for very long to know that he absolutely represents that essence of what a Royal Marine Commander is about, has the mindset, and when he sets his mind and his heart to do something, he will do it. And I think particularly so when he's so passionate about proving that people shouldn't be defined by their disability. I'm here to do all I can as ambassador for the endeavour, to try and facilitate as best I can Gibraltar as the mounting base for this endeavour, and make sure that he's set off in good order to achieve the challenge that he's set himself. So I'm here to help, basically.
Well, since we've got here, we've had a busy time. First job we had was to paint the underside of the boat with anti-fouling so you don't get a build-up of crustaceans and things like that as you're transiting across.
So Lee and I have rowed previously together, and when he was putting this whole sort of concept together, he asked if I would have some input with it. So I've basically come out to Gibraltar because he's now gotten to the stage where all of the fundraising's done, sponsorship's all in place, and he actually has to do it, which is massively exciting and hilarious for us, but also slightly terrifying for him at the same time, I think, realizing that he's actually now going to do this thing. So I'm just out here to help him out, pack the boat with a couple of his friends and my brother, and essentially we're just running through all of the systems, making sure that everything's operating before he goes out to sea, making sure that all of his sort of rations and things are in place, and basically his survival systems are going to keep him going.
Since I started this whole project, there's been people who've helped me along the way, Cal Royce being probably the most important. I just couldn't have done it without them. I couldn't do what needs to be done now without them. Absolutely bowled over with the support I've received. It's very humbling, really, really humbling.
So for Lee, he's looking at crossing a fairly substantial piece of water, so he's got to take a lot of food. His calorie sort of intake for sort of daily basis will be around 5,000 calories a day.
I'm not feeling relieved because it really is the final push. This is the most important part, these next couple of days, to get everything absolutely right. Once I get in the boat, once I get out the Straits and into the Atlantic, then I'll kind of relax a little bit.
On a craft this small, space is, at a premium. You need to get enough food and supplies on board, including all of your safety systems and yourself and personal kit, to survive for the duration of your time at sea. There's a variety of treats. He's got Skittles, beef jerky or biltong, peanuts, little sachets and protein bars, chocolate bars, a variety of things. So these are rehydratable packs that he'll have to make water with his water maker, which is situated on board the vessel. It's powered off of solar power, which is stored in the batteries on board. If that system had to go down, he would have to move onto a hand pumping system, which is currently wrapped up and is on board the deck there at the moment. That would be a horrendous stage to go to. If he had to go down to hand pumping water, it would be massively frustrating. It's hugely time consuming, and it would mean that he would be less effective on the oars. Just next to that is his shower. So that's what he will be cleaning himself down with after every shift. It's crucial to clean yourself down because the salt water is so corrosive that your body starts to break down quite quickly. So it's very, very important that every time you come off of the oars, get into your cabin, you wipe yourself down, get as much salt off of you as possible, so as not to go down with sores and nasties really.
Getting into a routine is probably the most crucial thing about the road. As soon as I can get into a routine, as soon everything becomes normal, and I think it's key to maintaining any form of sanity whilst you're out there is having a routine. So what I intend or envisage happening is rowing all the day, but breaking it up into 2-hour segments just for my own sanity. So I'll row for 2 hours and then I'll do something quickly that needs doing, like put the water maker on or grab a snack pack or have a sweet or have a bite to eat or drink. There's a myriad of different things that need doing, make a phone call, send a tweet, send an email. So that'll break up the day, and then at night it really depends on the conditions and how it's going. I won't get any more than 2-3 hours in one go resting. So I'd imagine a typical day would be 18 hours rowing.
I totally agree with what Lee's saying about not being defined by your disability. Things have changed, yes, since being injured. Going from being an able-bodied person to being a disabled person is a huge change, but it doesn't mean that you need to be defined by that. You can still set your own boundaries. You can still do so many things and achieve, whatever you set your mind to, but, don't let yourself become comfortably depressed because you don't think that you can do anything. Don't let that disability define you and move on and, take on the assistance of people that are willing to help, because there are so many that do. And yeah, live a full and happy life.
My biggest fear is going to be the weather and actually the start of the road, getting out the straights. It's going to be really tricky. You've got the Atlantic Ocean meeting the Mediterranean Sea, 2 different salinities, 2 different levels. I'll actually be rowing uphill and the currents are really quite bad. What I'm planning to do is to row straight across the bay to Spain from Gibraltar, and then go due south and then follow the North African coast. If the currents and the tides are against me, there's literally nothing you can do. You'll be rowing as fast as you can and you won't be going anywhere. It's going to be really, really difficult. Yeah, really worried about it. And unless I get the right weather, unless I get easterlies, it ain't going to happen. So what I'll lose by having to fight my way out of the Straits, I'll gain 10-fold, 100-fold over in the support that we'll get from the people of Gibraltar. They've got such a connection with the armed forces and especially the Royal Marines. It's we carry Gibraltar as our only battle honour.
Gibraltar is a place that instantly recognises, respects and supports people who put themselves out there for the greater good. So I have no doubt that Gibraltar will get behind Lee.
The first row allowed Lee to realise that despite the physical challenge he had undergone, he remained the same person. The sense of identity fuels him.
We think about disabled people, it kind of comes to define who they are. I define myself in terms of disability, and that's why this next row is so important to me. This is what I'll be wearing going across. It's been specially designed for me flying across the Atlantic. It's waterproof. It's cut down at the back, so where I lose stability, it means I can bend my leg without it pinching. And so once I'm finished walking, I'll be putting my foot in the stirrup twisting this, and that goes floppy. So you imagine the normal rowing action when you're in a normal rowing machine, it's exactly the same. I'll obviously be taking a spare one of these, because last time I broke a leg, but luckily I had a spare one.
While intent on proving that he remains the same person, Lee's heart is also on raising the profile of the charities that mean so much to him.
I'm raising money for the Royal Marines charity and Prince Harry's Endeavour Fund, or the Endeavour Fund. Two great charities that mean a lot to me. Now, the money for the charities is obviously really, really important, but it's always, from the very start, always had to have been more than just about the money. And for me, it's really important that we raise the profile of wounded and injured soldiers, so keeping them in the nation's conscience. But it's also about getting that message out there that no one should be defined by disability. They shouldn't define themselves, they don't have to. And we as a society shouldn't define people by disability. And to do that, you need people to know that's what you're doing. And that's the driving factor for this whole row, is getting those two messages out there. They're really, really important to me.
"24 hours prior to the broadcast of this programme, Lee Spencer received the sad news that his mother had been taken seriously ill. He left for the UK on Monday the 15th of January, just days before his scheduled departure. He issued a statement explaining that while disappointed at having to postpone his challenge, this was indeed a postponement. Lee plans to reschedule the row from Gibraltar to Venezuela as soon as personal circumstances allow. Hours after he issued his statement, Lee's mother sadly passed away.